Today's episode of Wine Time Fridays is brought to you in part by our friends at Seasons of Coeur d'Alene and Liberty Lake Wine Cellars.
It's been a long week, right? Are you ready to wind down? Why not? It's time for the Wine Time Fridays podcast with Shelley and Phil. Neither are sommeliers, but both have a deep passion for life, each other, and of course, delicious wine. And now, here to talk about this week over a glass of wine is Shelley and Phil. It's wine time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil on this Friday, June 20th, 2025, episode 270. Happy Friday, Shelley. It's wine time. Here are your bells. We've got a guest who's just been watching us go through this whole setup and laughing in his mind. You might have remembered this guest from episode 150. That was in March of 2023. Lane Hewett with Rivaura, Rivaura. It just rolls off the tongue when I'm doing the sponsorship spots. Anyway, Lane, welcome back to Wine Time Fridays.
Thank you.
This actually, that day we talked about a lot of things, and one that caught my mind was about the whole wine sneeze thing.
With red wines, yeah.
Yeah. Is that still going on?
It still happens. I don't know what it is or why, but
It's pretty funny.
mhm.
I just had to bring that up before I forgot. I wanted to
Are you bringing up Viognier?
Viognier.
Viognier.
Yes, we have to bring up Viognier. Viognier, which is
Vaginier.
Vaginier.
Oh yes, that story. I haven't heard that again yet.
We just poured, I believe, a Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bottle somewhere around here.
Yep, a little bit of Chardonnay.
This is a 2024 Rivaura Chardonnay. I'm gonna stick that right here for the time being. And let's do a proper Wine Time Fridays toast to health, wealth, and abundance, gratitude, romance, and
Peace on earth.
I like it.
we need to have peace on earth these days.
Mhm.
All right, so this is super clean. I mean, it looks like it's got oak on it, but I'm not getting that on the nose for sure.
Yeah, this is a pretty fun little wine. Everything we do, for the most part, is estate grown. We don't grow a lot of white varietals, and we wanted another white. So this is one that we don't grow. This fruit actually comes from some of our friends down in southern Idaho. We wanted to keep it Idaho.
Sure.
So this is Snake River Valley, AVA. One of my buddy Wills, who I worked with for quite a while, he's got a winery down there called Veer. He recommended this fruit.
The Beer Wine Project.
Yep, Veer Wine Project.
Yeah, what's Will's last name?
Wetmore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Vera's doing great things too.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a fun winemaker.
Yeah.
So we picked up some of this because we needed a little more white wine, and on this guy, we put it through mallow, and then we didn't want to have an overly oak Chardonnay, but we wanted to give a little texture with maybe a touch of kind of that toast, but let a lot of the fruit show through as well. So we actually did this in stainless, quite a bit of neutral, and there's only about 20% new French oak on this.
And for how long?
So it wasn't long at all, about 6 months.
6 months.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's your color, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But it's super clean.
Mm-hmm.
Had it not been this golden, like
Yeah.
it doesn't look like a whole lot of, I mean, there's not a lot of buttery butter,
No.
but enough to where it looked like there was probably some oak, but it smelled stainless.
Yeah. We just wanted to give it just the hint in there. We didn't want it to be the big buttery bomb. Our Viognier, we do pretty unique old world style that has a lot of oak on it. So we didn't want to go stylistically with that. We wanted a nice, just clean Chardy,
Yeah.
with a hint of some oak characteristic on there, but wanted a lot of the fruit to show through as well. So
You do not grow Chardonnay on this estate right now.
We don't, no.
Are you going to?
We've talked about it.
Yeah.
We've got 30 acres planted, all your big Bordeaux and Rhones. The only whites we currently grow are Viognier and Sauvignon Blanc. We've got another 6 acres that we just ripped and got the soil all ready to plant. We're just waiting on the time to go and do that and figure out what we actually want to put in there.
How many acres do you have presently under vine?
30.
Under vine? Yeah, I'd be under vine. 30. And so are you going to stick with that 30 or are you going to try to expand it all? Because this is only one part of what you guys do as your family.
Yeah. Like I said, we've got that 6 acres that's ready to go, just right down here next to the river. We're just waiting on putting something in. Maybe next spring we'll get something in there. But
how many are you growing, right? How many varietals are you growing here?
So 10 different varietals.
Yeah.
Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and Malbec, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, and Sauvignon Blanc. Is that 10? I think I hit them all. Yeah.
At one time, I think I asked you the last time we talked something about Carmenere, if you had ever thought about that one.
Yeah, I would love to. I really enjoy Carmenere, and that, could play around with some of that. We want to throw, when we plant down by the river, we want to throw in, an acre of a few different things to do some small lot, even smaller lot stuff. So probably put in some unique varietals. We've talked about doing Sangio.
I think that'd work real
Maybe some Tempranillo. So we'll see.
And those you can, I don't want to say you want to test on your wine club, but you have a wine club and you can make those exclusive to the wine club.
Yep. Yeah.
And then if the wine club is going, this stuff is awesome, you can maybe broaden that a little bit. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, lots of options, lots to play with. So it'll be nice once we get our facility on site. That'll make things a lot easier too. So.
Are you going to do that? Have a facility on site?
Yep. Yeah, the plans are all drawn up and ready to go. It's just time and money. So,
Yeah, both are really important.
Yeah, exactly. But we're getting there.
What influence has Billo Narvain, I pronounced his last name right?
Yep.
What influence does he have on you and Vince, which we think he's going to have a cameo here today. We're not sure. That you guys, that he has on you as winemakers.
Yeah. So Billo helped us from the beginning up until about 2 years ago. So Vince and I kind of learned under him. So we get to take a lot of what we learned from him, stylistically and winemaking wise. And he's big into some of his things that we definitely got to take away that we can still utilize is his oak programs, all the connections with the different barrel producers. We get to stay in contact with them, and they make some really, really cool, different barrels. And that are actually pretty hard to get your hands on unless you kind of know the right people. And thanks to Billo, we're able to stay in contact with them and have been utilizing them and his blending techniques and all that good stuff. So
this leads right into the CDA Gourmet Wine Word of the Week. Cooper. Yeah.
And it's not the Cooper clan.
It's not the Cooper clan. Thank you. Another monk reference. Cooper is a person that makes and repairs wine barrels, particularly oak barrels. They craft and maintain the barrels used for aging wine. But the reason I put that in there is it's a real big deal. And you just touched on it, knowing because you could have oak barrels that aren't as sought after, still French. What goes into, I mean, you've got an in for what makes this particular.
What are you looking for?
Yeah, and why is this such a good?
It's a wine barrel snobbery.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole toasting thing. You want the right person that
Yep.
toasted a certain, they have a scale and all of that. Yeah.
Different toasts, different they did have different techniques of toasting the barrels, different grains. And it all kind of comes down to when he started, he kind of knew what he liked and what actually goes good with what varietal. And that's what we really got into when we would go tasting with him, is actually seeing how those barrels incorporate into the varietal specific or that style of wine you're trying to make. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's a lot that we still need to learn, a lot of wild names, and it's a lot.
But it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's fun. It's super cool to, go through and taste like our cab. We've got it on a few different barrels, and actually go through and see and figure out what we really like to continue using those or switching or, what
There's a
have
lot
you.
of testing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, here's our spit bucket. We didn't bring the Wine Time Fridays dump bucket, because this is just fine. It's so far not being used. Oh, look at Shelley. She's not driving back to Coeur d'Alene today. I am.
Oops, maybe I.
When you, what is the process? Because I find this fascinating. What is the process of getting the oak from France over here? Does it come in board foot, raw oak, and then it's milled here, or it comes already milled?
Yep. Comes assembled.
Oh, it comes as a barrel.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Trucked and then dropped right off at the winery.
For about $2,500 in a barrel.
Yeah. With everything going on, prices have gone up on those a decent amount, that's for sure. But
think it's funny because you'd see some European wines and I'll say this is American oak. We'd see over here is French oak.
Yep.
There they have Hungarian oak
Yep.
now.
Yeah.
All sorts of things. We should take one quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna pour another one here
Yes.
at the Rivaura Estate. Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil and Lane, and we think possibly his cousin Vinnie, which of course we didn't have his cousin Vinnie last time. Here at the Rivaura Estate Vineyards and Winery, and I had that on my notes right there on the screen. It's a beautiful thing, really.
Right behind us.
Right behind us, yeah.
Yes.
I'm
So,
not really sure we want to tell everybody about it.
well,
We
that's
want it to be a hidden gem.
therein lies the crux, right? We just poured a 2022 Rivaura Syrah, Lewis Clark Valley AVA, which is where we are sitting right now. And this smells delicious.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite wines that we do. Syrah grows awesome here. We're pretty set up. I mean, we're really similar to the Rhone Valley, honestly. Where this Syrah is grown, really high pH, really high nitrogen in the soil. It's where we had a corn patch for generations on the property. And that kind of incorporates into the wine. This has kind of got a lot of those reduction notes. If anybody's familiar with the Rocks district of Walla Walla, those kind of funky, meaty.
Like Jared Funky?
Yeah, not getting there. A lot of more like that blue fruit, bacon fat, deliciousness. If you like those styles of wine, this is right up that alley.
So similar terroir as the Rocks district?
Just when it comes to like the soil and what you actually see in the wine, a lot of it has to do with that kind of higher pH. We're jumping up into, 4.2, 4.3. And when you get that high, you start to get a lot more of those kind of delicious reductive characteristics, which is more that kind of, like earthy mushroom.
Yeah.
What they classify over there, and there is some wines even called like the funk. And yeah, that's kind of where like Cayuse is. And so it's cool that we're able to do a Syrah that it's not quite as hardcore as those, but you still pick up a lot of those kind of characteristics.
Savaya obviously has a, a lot there as well.
Hmm.
We just had an Oregon winery on. Um, was it Capri? No, it was Big Table Farm. They had something. One of those Oregon wines had something. It was a Syrah from the rocks,
Yeah.
and that's a very sought after,
Very, yeah. It's got a big, it's almost like a cult following now.
isn't it? Kind of cool. Of course,
Mhm.
Jack's price is
Oh
up,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So it's cool to be able to do something like that out here.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a new wine, 2022. Probably my favorite vintage so far of the Syrah we've gotten from those blocks over there. It's just has a nice balance between that funkiness, but there's still a lot of like nice blue fruit that shows through. And then on the palate, the acid and tannin actually go really well together. So the palate fill isn't just kind of that like super reductive, like squishiness. There's
yeah,
actually a
yeah,
little body to the back of it too.
yeah.
So this has been a fun wine.
We're drinking this not room temperatures in the 70s. This is probably closer to 60 degrees,
Yeah. Mhm.
and which is kind of nice. Again, we drink reds a little too warm and white a
Yeah.
little too
Yeah, I
cold.
just pulled these out of the cellar
Yep.
downstairs where we keep everything. So
But this is delicious nose. You were talking about the 22 vintage. Do you notice a diff? Obviously, the 24 vintage is going to be really different.
mhm.
But do you notice a drastic difference, like say the Syrah from your 20 or 21?
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. 21 was one of the hottest vintages, or one of the hottest years on record here. We were like 115 for a couple weeks. So those wines are some big boys.
Yeah.
Where 2022 is almost the exact opposite. It was a little bit cooler of a vintage, and it was pretty wet, actually, for around here. So a little bit more of those kind of elegant styles in 22 for sure. With maybe a little bit even more of those kind of like lighter green notes that come
Oh,
through.
interesting.
But I'm super pumped at how this Syrah turned out. Yeah,
How's the 25 vintage starting out?
we're looking good. It's going to
Yeah.
be a heavy crop out here this year.
That's not so that's not a bad thing. But it can sometimes it can too much crop can get into quality of the grapes a little bit.
Yeah, and we fruit thin. So we actually like to hang, we drop a quarter to half of everything pretty much. We like to crop around that 2.5 to 3.5 tons to the acre, to keep the quality up. So
I
yeah, that'll be coming up right now. We're hedging,
yeah,
because things are
pu pushing.
growing
Whoa,
like weeds out here.
that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, after the little freeze we had a couple of years ago, and now then the fire last year. It's good to have hopefully a normal year
I
this
like
year.
I like that you said
Yeah.
the little freeze.
Yeah.
The one in January of 24.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
one that knocked out what 70% of your
Yep.
fruit, give or
Hmm.
take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Everybody in the Northwest was hurting a little bit.
and then of course follow that up with fires
Yeah.
in July. Was it
Yep.
July last
Yeah.
year?
About a year ago.
Putting some wineries out of business,
Yeah. One of
like
our
your
friends
neighbors.
burnt down. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were close. We somehow we're still standing. So
Well, I think it didn't have a lot to do with a whole bunch of people with garden hoses and fire hoses
yep.
keeping the fire like literally 200 yards from where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, it burnt right up. You can even see the trees right here on the end. Everything's burnt. It burnt all the way up to the tasting room side here. And then we lost a little bit of Sauvignon Blanc right out here.
Okay.
But
Oh man,
kept
that
it at a minimum. So can't complain.
it all hands on deck when it comes to that.
Yes.
Are we past the point of worrying about freezing right now? I hate to even bring that up.
Yes. We should be good. We should be good.
That's where we
Some freak event.
okay, good.
Never know.
you're in a little valley here.
Mhm.
Do you have the wind, what do they call that? The air movers, the turbines, because you'll get frost that settles in, right?
Yeah, so we're pretty lucky with the Clearwater River and the big south-facing slopes we have, especially over here on the north side. That kind of acts as a, big
Okay.
windmill or whatever you want to call them that you
Yeah.
see in most vineyards and orchards. So we have continuous air movement that's, running down off the hill right to the river and being pushed constantly. So,
Your very first vintage was 2018,
yep.
and it was released spring of 2019, which we're
Hmm.
right. That's 6 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Um, that rosé from 2018, because Shelley and I are not gonna. We love your rosé.
Hmm.
Your rosé is so good, and
But it changes color.
it changes
Hue.
darkness and hues.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's so amazing, but it's so freaking good. What has, how has that whole evolution come around from that first 18 vintage and now you're pouring right now the 24, right?
Yep.
Is it released?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Man, trying to think. In 2018, we actually did a little bit of Grenache. I think it was 18. Maybe it was 19. There was a little bit of Grenache in there. Now everything we do is just Cabernet Franc. So Cab Franc Rosé the last few years.
Yeah.
We really like what Cabernet Franc does
I'm not going
in
to
our
disagree.
rosés, and we've kind of played around stylistically every year. We kind of do something different. I mean, rosé is rosé. It's fun to try and do something a little more unique. So we've actually done not just like stainless steel rosés, but we've done a few in like neutral oak. I think even one of the years we tried a little bit of batonage on it to try and give it a little texture. So it's not just this big, strong acid. If I remember right, was it 23 or 22? We actually did partial mallow
Okay.
on the rosé. We did about, I want to say like 20% or maybe even more malolactic ferment, and the rest not through mallow, just to give it some texture and make it something more than just this big bright acid. I don't know.
Acid bomb?
Yeah, it's fun to have a little texture in there, maybe
For
a little
sure.
creaminess to play along with it. And then yeah, yearly color just depends on how long we leave it on the skin. So
Like, like in recent years, it's been so light. I want to say
mhm.
it's only been like 30 minutes to an hour sort
It
of
hasn't
thing.
been long. Yeah. Well, actually, what we do with that, it's about hour and a half to
Okay.
our where the facility's at, where we process and do everything. So what we do with the rosé usually every year is we foot stomp it as soon as we pick it before we load it up in the reefer trailer to head to the winery, and then as soon as we get there. So it's a couple hours.
Yeah.
This
Wow.
2024 is a little bit darker in color. But yeah.
Foot trotting.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
old school.
Yeah, it's a good marketing technique too. So
I wouldn't think. Yeah, I would.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so much fun. Okay, one more break. We have time limits and we want to respect them. When we come back, we're going the last two. Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil and Lane Hewett. Still no sighting events yet.
Brewing.
Brewing. What, by the way, the River Ranch Brewing Company is where
By
Vince,
Rivaura.
by Rivaura, but it doesn't say that on his shirt.
Yeah, Vince is
Just
the head brewer.
yeah,
He's going to town.
he's got a lot of hats. I've got
Oh,
it,
you have.
yeah, that's right. Vince, assistant winemaker and vineyard operations, as well as head brewmaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lane is the assistant winemaker and sales and events coordinator. Is it
And cow mover.
and cow mover? Well,
Cow
they
mover.
both do a lot of cow moving. We just opened the 2020 River Ranch Red. One of them, I would venture to guess, this might be the wine you make the most of.
Yep.
How about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Pulling that out of my butt.
Yes, it is. It is. It's just a nice,
It
easygoing
really
blend.
is. We're talking 20, 25 bucks,
I think, yeah, $30.
30
Yep.
bucks.
Yep.
But this is such an easy drinking, always delivers. Do you always put the same blend in every year?
Different percentages, but same varietals. So Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Malbec.
All five.
Yep, all five of your big
But
dogs.
see, here's the thing, Lane. When you do start growing Carmenere, you
can
can
stick
put
that
that
in there.
Carmenere in there, still a Bordeaux.
True.
And
Very true.
I don't know honestly why winery. Well, I mean, again, we're talking about money and time, but it seems like a great market. And you're talking about marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like the original Bordeaux. This is all six.
Yeah.
I don't
This
know.
one
know.
smells like wine caves.
Yeah, this is just a good solid blend. Not overly oaked. I think I want to venture to say maybe 40 or 50% new French. This is kind of just I don't like to call it like a house wine or like crowd pleaser because it makes it feel cheap.
Yeah, I know,
But
right? But it is.
Yeah, but it's delicious. It's easy
Yeah.
with whatever. Medium tannin, medium acid. A lot of that kind of nice. It's not almost a blend between like your darker fruits and your lighter red fruits.
Look at the legs on that.
Yeah.
He's Louise.
Yeah, easy to drink.
2020.
2020.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
2020.
Nothing that came out of 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
Who would say that?
Like I said, the first couple of years we made a lot of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just about out of 2020, so 2021 will be coming soon, and same blend, different percentages, equally delicious.
So you and Vince are cousins.
Mm-hmm.
You have your roles, but you're both making the wines now. Anybody else involved in making wines other than you and Vince right now? It's all you, and that's been for the last 2 years.
Yep.
I saw the quality kind of step up a little bit. What happens, Lane, when you guys are tasting through this? We mentioned this before at North Star has their little blending experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun but daunting. And we were there for 2 or 3 hours for one bottle each.
Yeah.
When you guys, because look, you're two individual people, while you might share some stylistic
Right.
opinions,
Yeah.
you're still two different people. What happens when one of you said, I think another 2% Petit Verdot on this, and you're like, I think that's too much Petit Verdot.
Yeah. How we kind of go about it is, and it's kind of funny, Vince and I we've kind of figured out the same stylistically speaking styles.
Mhm.
And we're kind of going for that, just like especially when it comes to like this wine, basically looking for balance. I always talk a lot about balance between like your fruit profile, your oak profile, tannins, acid, trying to get the body right, and just making a solid wine. So we'll go through, do a bunch of different blends at the winery. So we'll play around with percentages, and then we kind of come up with, between 5 and 10 that we really like. And what we do from there is we bring them home here and let the whole family and friends come and taste everything blind and rate. And then we'll talk about them and finally come to our final blend decision.
That really is the best of both worlds, right? Because you do have to honor the consumer.
Yep. Yeah.
But you also have to honor you guys.
Yes, and the rest of the, family and vineyard guys that put all the work in.
Yeah, let them have
Yeah, exactly.
I know that you guys don't keep score or anything, but between the three of us, who wins more of the blend, you or Vince?
Honestly, it's pretty dang even.
Is that right?
Yeah, because when we're tasting,
Only talking 6, 7 vintages. So.
Yeah, it comes down to just, a percent here, a percent here. And our palates are pretty dang similar.
Yeah.
I would say. So
That'd be helpful.
Yeah. And so for the most part, we're always kind of on the same, recommend, like, I think this could have it needs a little more new oak. So let's pull from this barrel that's a new barrel.
Yeah.
Vice versa, the same with, okay, it needs a little more body. Okay, the cab, obviously, or what have you, PV has a little more tannin. Okay, let's add an extra percent or two of that.
Yeah, it's amazing how small that it could be. 0.5%.
Mhm.
It means a world of difference
Yeah.
in a Petit Verdot.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
we need a little color. Petit Verdot's inky.
Yeah.
Let's toss a little of that.
Do either of you guys have your own that you just get to call your own, or you collaborate on?
Yeah, pretty much collaborated
Yeah.
on everything so far. I think eventually once we get the facility here, we can play around a little more with different projects. So
Okay, our last wine.
yeah.
This is a really nice one.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Lane is speaking to my love.
I got Reserve Cab.
Yeah.
Oh, the Cab Franc.
I thought it was Cab Franc, it's Cab Sauv.
I know. I wish we don't have any Cab Franc on site right now, but the new one is done. 2022. We just trying to find a time to release it.
Are you left-handed or right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
You still know how to pour left-handed?
Yes.
A 2021 Rivaura Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon. I just hope I don't have any, armpit stains because I'm showing them everybody on YouTube.
So point it out. That's
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong. It's just hard work. And can we, before we talk about this wine, just mention on this 20th of June, that's a big day for you. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, today you are moving into your new house.
Yep, today we sign Friday. Yeah, well,
Yeah, Friday. Moving in.
Yeah, that is true.
But for the last, I want to say 2, maybe 3 weeks, Rivaura in Coeur d'Alene, not just open on Friday and Saturday, Shelley. Not anymore. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. If you want a tasting experience on Sunday, you have to come down here to Juliaetta.
Yep. And it's a good day drive, hour and a half, 2 hours. And
unless you're like Shelley and Phil and decide to go on I-90, which is stupid, and head west before realizing, no, we just need to go south.
No. That's a
How many?
little extra view.
Well, it was really stupid. Added another 30 minutes on our drive. But you're making this drive from time to time. I mean, you could do this in your sleep almost.
Yeah, we've got it down. And we don't mind it. It's there's good food and good bars and good drinks up there.
Coeur d'Alene doesn't suck.
No.
Yeah.
Not saying Lewiston doesn't have a thing here and there, but we like going up to Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, it's it was just a couple weeks ago. I'm like, oh crap. It might not be summer, but it's summer. If you get down Sherman, it takes forever, and you see foot traffic everywhere.
But it's nice. The city is alive.
City is alive. You'll notice
It used to be.
last Saturday I posted on our Facebook page, Wine Time Fridays Facebook page. Shelley was in the parade for the card lane, and I almost went into Rivaura's tasting room. I'm like, no, I have a job here to do. But I did take a picture, and you had all these people on the patio and inside fully loaded. You guys are pouring some wine there in Coeur d'Alene, and you're getting a reputation. And not only because of us spreading the word, you guys do a great job. And your brother is now the tasting room manager there?
Yeah, Cooper. Yep, he just graduated from Montana, ran track for the Grizz, and
oh, nice.
He was looking for something to do. So,
is this his gateway into the family biz?
There's a chance. We'll see what he wants to do after.
What did he graduate in Montana?
I think it's something to do with business.
Okay,
not entirely.
Not a bad thing either.
Yeah. So he let him play around up there for
a
year or two and see what he can do. So.
Montana probably more of a beer drinker than a wine drinker. Montana.
It's
not like Montana State. They're also beer drinkers there.
How do you know?
Well, okay, so you have Wazoo. They're not even beer drinkers. They drink like Bud Light and stuff like that. Just
You're going to make some enemies. You better not talk.
Huskies. Bow down to Washington. But has he started to develop a taste for wine?
Yeah, and I mean he knows a decent amount. He during the summers, or he's been a part of this since the beginning too, working in the vineyards and working the tasting room here. So he's got it down a little bit. Yeah.
And so he's running that tasting room now.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll go introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
At some point to him.
Yeah.
But how much of staff do you have going there? You have him and one other or two?
So Cooper, he's there all the time. And then we've got some other friends that we know up there.
I think we met them.
That probably Holly and basically a second family. So yeah, keeping everything kind of like down here. It's pretty much family.
It's the way to do it.
Yeah. Yep.
Is there ever any, not friction, but challenges, I guess? Going into business with friends or family is not for the weak. It just is not for the weak because other things can come into play. Have you found that to be the case?
No, not necessarily. Everybody kind of has their role.
Yeah.
So, like Vince, vineyard wise, if he needs help out there, he'll let us know. It's time to get stuff done. Kind of the same thing here. If we got a big event weekends or there's lots going on, it's like, hey, we need an extra hand, yada, yada, yada. So it works out pretty good. And same with like the cows that we run. Uncle Ron, shoot a text out, hey, we need this day. Can we work around your guys' schedule to make this happen? And so
it's mutual respect too.
Yeah, it all works out pretty good.
It's farming.
Yeah,
farming.
Exactly. And we try and keep it simple.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody,
why
keep everybody in good moods. Yeah, there's lots to be done, but if you got something to go do, otherwise, take off, and nobody seems to bat an eye, and so everybody's kind of on the same page for the most part.
So what are some of your other favorites of the wines that you make and sell?
So we've got a big Bordeaux blend, our reserve label blend. That's probably the crowd favorite, which is our Insomniac blend, which we probably tasted last time. We can taste today too. I've got a bottle in there, so and that's going to be probably the most complex, balanced wine, definitely, and has a great story behind it. But it's a blend of
story about your grandfather.
Yep, yeah, Papa Ron, the dude that doesn't sleep, the workaholic who puts all of us to shame. So,
but it's something to aim for, right? It's setting the bar high.
Exactly. Yeah, the reason all this chaos is possible. So, but yeah, that's always a big one. Our Viognier, just stylistically, what we do on it is pretty unique, especially for modern Viogniers nowadays.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, we can taste that too. I've got it.
Late.
Yeah, we only got 6 minutes.
No, you guys are fine. It's only a half-hour drive to town.
Okay, good. So we got him for another 36. Just joking. I was gonna say we haven't really talked much about this reserve cab.
Oh yeah. It's funny, I don't taste our wines too often, so doing stuff like this actually gets me to taste them again.
Yeah.
You start tasting them too much, I feel like
palate blasting.
You start to get house palate.
Yeah, for sure.
And everything starts to taste the same. But this bigger bodied for sure. Little more new French oak. This is some of those special barrels, I guess I could say, that we only get a few of, and then especially right away on the body of the wine, your saliva kind of starts to get sucked out of your mouth a little more.
Yeah. That's a really good way of putting that. Yeah.
So if you like a little bit bigger bodied wine, or if you're going to cellar a wine, something that's going to age beautifully for 5 to 15 years, this is kind of that lineup. Our whole reserve label lineup is stylistically driven for those little more complex, bigger bodied.
How do you build those? How do you build those differently, so that they'll lay down longer?
Yeah. So vineyard wise, reserve stuff, we're dropping more fruit.
Meaning you're clipping to let the other fruit really come into.
Yep. Yep. So we drop a little bit more fruit on these guys. If we have time, in the vineyard, we'll go through. We've got a de-leafing machine that does our de-leafing for us. If we have extra time, we'll go in and really dial like things like that in those certain blocks of varietals that we know we really enjoy and are most likely going to get to our reserve label.
Yeah. A little bit more hand holding.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then when it comes to the winery, when we go through ferment, certain types of yeast, and then we jump into the barrel program, which is pretty important, at least to us, especially for these reserves. Get some unique stuff, some unique oak on them, and then yeah. Between that and we know the blocks that we really like for this cab. A lot of it comes from what we call block 16. If anybody looks at the website or anything, you'll notice we have two sides of the river.
Yeah.
Most of the reserve stuff comes from our north side with the big south-facing slopes. Sees a lot more sun, exposure, and just kind of gives gives those skins a little more and start to get that bigger body. And yeah, it turns into some cool wines.
It is very delicious. Again, all the 4 wines I believe that we've tasted through today are available in the tasting room in Coeur d'Alene, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you got a nice lineup there. The rosé doesn't last long.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah, it seems like by July, August, you're sold out on a lot of that. Are you able to produce more?
Yeah, then that's kind of comes down to planting our new blocks down there.
Yeah.
We're thinking about planting something specifically for rosé, so that we can keep our good Cabernet Franc.
For the Cabernet Franc.
Cabernet Franc, because that's kind of the same thing. We only do, 150 or so cases of that, and that goes pretty quick. So if we could double that up by planting enough of something for 300 cases of rosé instead of using our good Cab Franc for that, would be pretty ideal. So
it's
Yeah, that's a good idea.
yeah,
I mean, for those Cab Franc lovers out there.
Yes. Do you guys want tasting Sauvignon? I've got it open.
This is good.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
I really want to honor your time.
Oh,
and
that's fine.
Yeah, but this has been great. It wasn't starting out great, but it's great now. So you're talking about adding a few more varietals on Tempranillo. I think you said
Maybe some Sangio.
Sangio, yeah. Chenin Blanc.
That'd be fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what day today is?
Is it Chenin Blanc Day?
Chenin Blanc Day. Just had to give that shout out.
That's fair.
Yeah, Chenin Blanc Day. I wanted to also say some of the wines that we enjoyed this week as we kind of start wrapping this up a little bit. Elsom Cellars Cabernet Sauvignon. We have the Long Shadows Julia's Dazzle Rosé. We had this Gamay from South Africa that I can never really pronounce it. Domaine de Gris Sablon Margon Dubé.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Sounds all right.
Cromavera Grenache and a Cinder Villa des Jardins. Have you had that?
I don't know what I don't think I
very
have.
It's a white blend. It's their reception when we were down in October, down in the area down there. It was their reception. I'm like, this is really good.
It's some different kind of
Yeah.
and I forget.
Yeah. Anyway, we had that.
Yeah, we were just down there pouring last week.
Yeah.
Over at Cinder.
Yeah. Head over
It's
and
white.
To give it a try.
check that out. Some things coming up. As we said, today, Drink Chenin Blanc Day. Tomorrow, World Lambrusco Day. Are you a Lambrusco fan?
I don't think I've ever had any Lambrusco.
Yeah.
Sort of a fizzy red.
It's a fizzy red that you would have chilled.
Sounds amazing.
It is for summer.
You
Yeah,
know,
sounds great.
I think that people that I'm among these people that have this like narrow, yeah, I'm like, you can't have red come out of a fridge. But once you flip over a little bit on that mindset, then it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm still in the transition of that.
Yeah.
I have a Briscoe at Naomi's Pizza Place.
Oh, yes. When you're in Coeur d'Alene next, go down to the pizza place, Neapolitan Vicino's.
Fair enough. I'll
God,
give it a go.
hopefully Naomi doesn't hear this. The 22nd International Rosé Day. Again, every day is Rosé Day. In July, we have Gilles Nicole with Long Shadows. I believe the 11th of July. What to expect next week? We're putting a bow on Idaho Wine Month. By the way, we didn't even bring that up. This is week 3 of Idaho Wine Month. And
This is an Idaho wine.
it's
And
it's an
state
Idaho wine that, I mean, literally is at the top of Idaho wines. That's my opinion.
Yeah, we put a lot of work into that. Was the goal from the beginning, was making a quality product.
Yeah.
And from the start, planting the right things, working with the right people when we started. All those little details to make sure that you grow a quality grape that turns into a quality wine, because it all comes from the vineyard. So,
And of course, just for those in Coeur d'Alene, which is like probably 60% of our listeners, just head down to Sherman
Oh, yeah.
Wednesday through Saturday. Do you have music there on Friday nights still?
Coop's on it. So
Okay,
there's
we can
music,
probably
yeah.
give him a couple names as well.
Yeah, so go down there, see Cooper, and give him some crap from me. So,
Oh, I couldn't do that, but I'll do that just
little
to.
brotherly love.
Again, a big thank you to today's sponsors, Seasons of Coeur d'Alene and Liberty Lake Wine Cellars. Clearly, my notes are screwed up. Lane, thank you
Yeah, thank you guys.
for having us down. Thank you for making great wine. And you're just at the front end of this thing, really.
Yeah.
And starting at such a high level early, and just continued good luck. Thank you for continuing to be a sponsor of our podcast.
Yeah, thank you
And
guys.
with a little bit of knowledge,
Yeah.
wine becomes a lot less overwhelming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you
Thank
next
you.
week as we wrap up Idaho Wine Month.
Heck yeah.
Thank you for spending part of your day to wind down with Shelley and Phil. Remember, you can listen to any episode of the Wine Time Fridays podcast by visiting winetimefridays.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us on our Wine Time Fridays Facebook page, Instagram, or on Twitter, which is @VintageTweets, for daily conversation. Until next week, here's our toast to you: to health, wealth, abundance, gratitude, peace on earth, and of course, romance.